Hello everyone. Today in this session, I will discuss on the concept of endocrine system. As we know that within the human body, there are found a large number of organ systems which work together in order to bring the state of balance or homeostasis. And we know that within our body, there are so many categories of glands, and these glands can be categorized into the two major groups. One is referred with the name of exocrine glands, and the second one, these are known as endocrine glands. And exocrine glands are those kinds of the glands which are basically characterized by the presence of ducts. They have ducts, and with the help of these ducts, their secretions they are carried to the target site or to the target organ. Whereas in case of endocrine glands, which are also referred with the name of ductless glands, their secretions they are directly added to the bloodstream, and thereafter their secretions they are carried by the blood to the target site or to the target organ. And the endocrine system in case of the human body is diverse. It is comprised of a number of glands, and there is a list which I have reflected on the present slide. And if I am discussing from top to the bottom in the human body, these glands are pineal, hypothalamus, and pituitary. Keep in mind, these three glands, pineal, hypothalamus, and pituitary, they are located in the head area and especially in the brain part. And in the neck area, we have the two important endocrine glands. One is a thyroid and second is parathyroid. In the chest area, we have the thymus, and in the abdominal region, we have adrenal gland or suprarenal gland, in addition to pancreas, which is also functioning as heterocrine gland. And in the pelvic area, we have the gonads, that is the six organs which act as secondary endocrine organs. And in case of the female, these are the ovaries, and in case of the male, these are the testes. The main functioning of endocrine system is basically the regulation of body functioning. I want to say a particular word. The main functioning of the endocrine system is the regulatory functioning of the body systems. It means the endocrine system produce chemical molecules which are referred with the name of hormones, and these hormones they basically regulate the various bodily processes including the growth, development, as well as the reproduction. Furthermore, the hormones they are also act as the chemical messengers. They basically helps to communicate one cell with the other by direct communication or by means of paracrine communication or by means of endocrine communication. Primarily, the hormones they are responsible for endocrine communication. That is the communication in which the hormones they are secreted by the endocrine glands and they are carried to the target site or to the target cell, and finally they are received by the target cell with the help of receptors or without receptors, and then the chemical action will be executed. Furthermore, if I will discuss on the first very important kind of endocrine gland present in the human body, and that is the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland, it is commonly referred with the name of master endocrine gland of the body. It is the smallest gland which is found in the human body, and its weight is lesser than 1 gram. And it is present in the head area, especially in the brain part. And we know that within our brain, there is a particular area which is referred with the name of diencephalon. Diencephalon is the part of the forebrain. And in this section of the brain, there is found a bone which is called as sella turcica in the sphenoid bone. That is, sphenoid bone is there in the cranium part of the skull, and in the cranium part of the skull where the sphenoid bone is present, there is a small concavity which is called as a sella turcica, and that houses the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland, it is connected with the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is also functioning as a part of the brain, as well as it is also functioning as we can say one of the endocrine organ. Hypothalamus is commonly called as the supreme commander of endocrine system, whereas pituitary gland it is referred with the name of a master endocrine gland. I want to add one important note here. Hypothalamus controls the pituitary, and pituitary thereafter controls the other endocrine glands which are found within the human body. And this pituitary gland, it is connected with the hypothalamus by means of a stalk-like structure you may see here. And this stalk-like structure, it is referred to the name of pituitary stalk, or it is also known as infundibulum. And through the infundibulum, I want to say the communication between the hypothalamus as well as the pituitary is generally done. And pituitary gland is further divisible into the three important lobes. One is called as anterior lobe, second is the middle lobe, and lastly the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. The anterior lobe of the pituitary gland is the largest lobe of the pituitary gland, and it secretes maximum of pituitary gland hormones. Again, it is an important point. Keep in mind, anterior lobe of pituitary gland is the lobe of the pituitary gland which is responsible for secreting the hormones of the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. These are, one of them is ADH or antidiuretic hormone, and second one is oxytocin. These hormones are produced by the hypothalamus gland and they are carried to the pituitary with the help of the neurosecretory cells. And thereafter the pituitary secretes these two hormones in the blood. And one of them is called as ADH, which is also known as a vasopressin, and this is a hormone which is responsible for reabsorption of water by the kidney nephrons. I want to say when the process of urine formation is going on in the kidneys, so then the kidneys will absorb the water and carry the process of water balance within the body. Likewise, oxytocin hormone. The oxytocin hormone is the second important hormone which is released by the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland in the bloodstream, and this oxytocin hormone is commonly called as a birth hormone because this is a hormone which is produced in more amount at the time of birth of the baby. And this hormone is responsible for activating the smooth muscle fibers. It is responsible for initiating the contractions of the smooth muscle fibers, and these smooth muscle fibers of the uterine area are responsible for childbirth process or parturition. In addition to that, oxytocin is also known as milk ejaculating hormone, as it is also having the influence on the smooth muscle fibers of the mammary glands, and thereafter the smooth muscle fibers of the mammary gland will show their contraction for the secretion of the milk from the mammary glands. Keep in mind, this is a hormone which is produced at the time of pregnancy. Its concentration is very high at the time of childbirth process. Then furthermore, if I am talking about the coordination between this hypothalamus as well as the pituitary. So I have already mentioned the hypothalamus is regulating the functioning of pituitary, and pituitary further, it is responsible for coordinating the activities of other endocrine glands which are found within the human body. Then, if we talk about the next important gland which is called as the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland, it is a reverse of pituitary in size. I want to say it is the largest endocrine gland in the body. But keep in mind, the largest gland of the human body is the liver. The largest endocrine gland is thyroid gland. Furthermore, this thyroid gland, it is located in the region of neck, especially in the midline of the neck area, and it secretes the hormones, primarily the two non-steroidal hormones. One of them is known as triiodothyronine or T3. Second one is known as tetraiodothyronine or thyroxine. And one important hormone which is responsible for calcium balance, that is referred with the name of calcitonin. And this thyroxine hormone which is produced by the thyroid gland, it is a hormone which is produced in the highest concentration by the thyroid gland in comparison to triiodothyronine as well as the calcitonin. I want to say the primary hormonal secretion of the thyroid gland is known as thyroxine. So just have the click on the name of T3 as well as the T4. The T3 and T4, they have some association between the two. If we consider their chemical name, T3 is known as a triiodothreonine and T4 is known as tetraiodothrionine. Okay, these are the chemical names of these two hormones. It means that the T3 hormone is having 3 iodine atoms, whereas the T4 hormone is having the 4 iodine atoms in it. This is only the major difference between these two. But keep in mind, the T4 is responsible for the formation of T3. That is, if one iodine atom from the thyroxine it is deleted, then it may change into T3 hormone. T3 hormone is metabolically more active in comparison to the T4. And these two hormones are responsible for controlling the basal metabolic rate of the body. I want to say these two hormones, they are responsible for having the normal rate of heartbeat. These two hormones are responsible for having the normal blood pressure. These two hormones are having the role in regulating the normal reproductive processes and so on. And the calcitonin hormone, which is produced by the thyroid gland, the calcitonin hormone is responsible for the calcium metabolism. And this calcitonin hormone is produced by the thyroid gland when the blood calcium level is comparatively high. And furthermore, if we see the structure of this thyroid gland, the thyroid gland, it is present in the area of the neck, I have already stated, and it is having the two important lobes. The two important lobes of the thyroid glands, these are referred to the name of thyroid lobes, which are connected with each other by means of a small neck-like portion, which is called as isthmus. The connecting area, the connecting bridge area between the two lobes is referred to the name of isthmus area. And this thyroid lobes, they are having inside them thyroid follicles. Follicles are the masses of glandular cells, and these glandular cells produce the hormone which is called as thyroxine hormone. Keep in mind, calcitonin hormone is not produced by the thyroid follicle, but these hormones are produced by the parafollicular cells, which are also known as C cells, which are lying outside the follicle areas. And there is a balance or feedback mechanism in the secretion of the thyroid hormones by means of the thyroid gland. I have already indicated you in the biology of pituitary gland. Pituitary gland interior lobe secretes one of the hormone which is called as TSH or thyroid stimulating hormone. It activates the thyroid gland, and thereafter the thyroid gland starts secreting its hormones which are called as T3 and T4. It means that it is under the control of pituitary, and pituitary itself is under the control of hypothalamus. So there is a balance between the secretion of thyroid hormones as well as the pituitary and hypothalamus. Then the third important gland which is found in the human body, that is called as the parathyroid gland. It is named so because it is associated with the thyroid gland. And parathyroid gland is comprised of 4 separate lobes which are associated with the thyroid lobes, you may see. And primarily the parathyroid gland are having the cells which are called as chief cells. The chief cells of the parathyroid gland, they secrete one of the hormone which is called as parathormone. The hormone of parathyroid gland is known as parathormone. It is also known as PTH or parathyroid hormone. So this hormone is produced in our body when the blood calcium level is low. When the blood calcium level is low, then this hormone is produced by the parathyroid gland. Then again there is a balance of calcium ion concentration by the antagonistic and joint activity of calcitonin secreted by the thyroid and parathormone secreted by the parathyroid gland. I want to add here the thyroid gland. the thyroid gland produce the hormone. You may see here, the thyroid gland produce the hormone which is called as a calcitonin. And this calcitonin hormone is secreted when the blood calcium level is high. When the blood calcium level is high, then this calcitonin will be formed. But when the blood calcium level is low, then the parathyroid gland will secrete the hormone which is called as PTH or parathormone or parathyroid gland hormone. It means calcitonin will regulate the calcium ion concentration when the calcium level is high, whereas the parathormone will regulate the blood calcium level when the calcium ion concentration is low in the blood. So on the whole, these two important glands, they work together in order to bring the calcium ion balance within the human body. Normally, the calcium ion concentration within the human body is near about 8.5 to 11 milligram per deciliter of the blood volume. Then further, if I am talking about the next endocrine gland, that is called as a suprarenal gland or adrenal gland. This is a gland which is present over the surface of kidneys. It is present over the surface of kidneys. So that's why it is referred with the name of suprarenal gland, because we know that biologically the term renal is associated with the kidney. It is present above the kidney. That's what it is called as a suprarenal gland or adrenal gland. And this suprarenal gland, you may see in the diagram, it is having the two important areas. It is having the two important areas. One is called as adrenal cortex area. One is called as adrenal cortex area, and second one is called as adrenal medulla. Adrenal cortex is the peripheral region of the adrenal gland, whereas the adrenal medulla, it is the middle portion of adrenal gland. This adrenal cortex area secretes the hormones which are collectively referred with the name of corticosteroids. The various hormones, these are referred with the name of corticosteroids. Whereas the adrenal medulla secretes the hormones which are referred with the name of emergency hormones. These are called as emergency hormones. So it means that these two different categories of the hormones are produced by adrenal cortex as well as the adrenal medulla portions of adrenal gland. And the hormones of adrenal medulla, I have already told you, these are of two types. One is called as epinephrine hormone, second is known as a norepinephrine hormone, and the epinephrine hormone is also referred with the name of adrenaline. It is also referred with the name of adrenaline hormone. And adrenaline hormone or epinephrine hormone is also known as emergency hormone. It is referred with the name of emergency hormone. As this hormone is primarily produced during the emergency situations, and the various situations which primarily produce this hormone, these are referred with the title as 3F conditions. That is, it is the fear condition, fright conditions, as well as the fight conditions. Fear, fight, and fright. That's why this hormone is referred as a 3F hormone. Epinephrine hormone, it is also known as 3F hormone because it is secreted during the emergency situations of fear, fight, and fright. And during these situations, the heart rate or heartbeat get increased, BP get elevated, rate of respiration is also get higher during the emergency situations, as well as there is an increase in the metabolic rate. Furthermore, it also promotes the breakdown of glycogen. That is, the various kinds of the sugar molecules, they are primarily degraded with the activity of epinephrine hormone, as during the stress conditions, during the emergency situations, our cells are needing more amount of respiratory fuel or glucose. Then it is also responsible for bronchodilation, that is the dilation of bronchi as the rate of the respiration enhances. Then norepinephrine hormone, it do the same functions, but this hormone is produced during the normal situations. Keep in mind, adrenal medulla secretes epinephrine up to the extent of 70 to 75%, whereas a norepinephrine, it is only secreted up to the extent of 20 to 25% of mass. Then the second important portion of adrenal gland, which is called as the adrenal cortex area. This adrenal cortex area secretes the hormones which are collectively referred as corticosteroids. And there are three different kinds of the corticosteroids we have. One is referred with the name of mineralocorticosteroids, second is known as glucocorticosteroids, and the third one is referred with the name of androgens. The mineralocorticosteroids, these are responsible for the mineral balance within the human body, primarily the sodium as well as the potassium ion balance. Glucocorticosteroids, important hormones, they are produced by the pancreas. Endocrine portion of the pancreas is referred with the name of island of Langerhans, and this island of Langerhans is having the four different categories of cells. Okay, the island of Langerhans possesses four different categories of cells, and these four different categories of cells, these are the endocrine cells of the pancreas. And these cells are referred with the name as alpha cells. These cells are referred with the name of alpha cells, beta cells, pp cells, and delta cells. And keep in mind, the beta cells, they contribute to 60 to 65% of the total number of cells present in the island of Langerhans. And the beta cell secretes, and beta